Hi guys, we've brought you along with us today to watch as well we clean and do some work on this beautiful pond in the middle of Wales. So the setup of the pond, as we'll show you now, is one larger pond. The river comes down and it goes into a smaller little wildlife pond. It's a beautiful setup. It's really well grown in. It's a really nice cottage feel garden, as you can see behind me. It's a beautiful place to be. Unfortunately, there's a few little issues with this pond. So firstly, there may be a leak. We're going to inspect that and we're going to diagnose where the leak might be and then patch it if needs be. There's also an issue with the waterfall. So the river that goes down, it then waterfalls and cascades into the bottom pond. That's running off into the rockery somewhere, the water, and it's not coming over the flat rock at the end and producing a nice sound as we want. That's why everybody wants this water feature in their garden, this sort of style. Is a lot of it's for the sound, not just for the aesthetics. So we are going to use some filler, some of ours stuff, because we know it works for this sort of project. And we're going to redirect the flow back to where it should be, over the flat rock at the end of the spillway. So let's get to work. It's been left quite a few years by the looks of it. There's a lot of growth, there's a lot of Alodia densa in there that's compacting on the pump, a lot of sludge at the bottom. Maybe some wildlife, hopefully we can catch some and show you if it's safe to do so. If not, and if they want to jump off into the shrubs around, frogs and things as they tend to do, we'll just let them do that and they can come back later on when we finish mucking about.
So, as you can see guys behind me, this is the filtration. I'll show you now in depth. So there's two filters on this system, both with their UV not working. So what has happened is somebody's installed a standalone hose lock UV system that we're going to be replacing the UV bulb on today, and just giving the filters that are in place the usual service. I'll show you now. So as you can see guys, this is the filtration that the customer's got in place. So there's one pump at the bottom of the pond where you can just see Jamie now, and it comes up and goes through the UV hose lock system, which in turn kills all the single cell algae. There is UV incorporated in these filters, but as you can see, they've seen better days, so we're not actually going to be using the UV on these. We're going to be using them just as filters by themselves, and then obviously we're going to replace the UV bulb on the hose lock system. The customer has also got in place a Blagdon 4-way switch box, which is controlling the UV, the pump, and also the little lighting set that they've got around the pond. Unfortunately, we're probably not going to be able to get you a video of that today, because by the time we go, we're hoping it's not going to be dark. But we'll keep you updated anyway, and I'll So we've got the top off the filters now, and as you can see, they're in a bit of a sorry mess. So I've taken out all the sponges and the filter media out of this one here into obviously pond water to give it a clean, to ensure we're keeping that beneficial bacteria. But as you can see, this side, as I remove the media, all the sludge and stuff that's around it, I would say these filters have not been cleaned in a very long time. So I think that alone is going to have a big effect on the flow of water, because that's an issue we've got at the moment. I think it's a combination of both the pump being blocked and of course now looking at this, the filtration. Also as well, on this Blagdon 4-way, as you can see, we've got a bit of a spaghetti mess. You've got the feed coming in, you've got the pump, the lights and the UV. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect these, cut the cables back a little bit, make it a little bit tidier, just so it's easier to trace cables if anybody apart from ourselves is working on this system in the future. So I bring you back to the filters after they've been cleaned. All the filter media at the bottom, the sponges have all been rinsed out in pond water. Both filters have been pond vac to remove a load of sludge at the bottom. And as you can see, this is the tub we used with the pond water. It's seen better days, but all that matters is that the beneficial bacteria now has stayed within these sponges, even though that the filters have been cleaned.
Now, as always in these ponds that we do, especially these nature ponds, but even the ornamental stuff, we make sure that we treat any livestock, in this case more wildlife, with care. So in here we have some smooth newts, some with some beautiful markings. We also have a lot of very fat tadpoles that are just starting to get their back legs now. So we've kept them in here. Now anything we haven't caught, and we do take very great care, we've put in here. And what we'll do is we'll put this on the muck heap over at the end of the garden. If there's any newts still alive in here and knocking about, they will find their way out. They'll be absolutely fine. This is all wet anyway. It'll go in there, and as it dries out, the newts will find their way out and they'll find their way back to the pond when we're gone. So here are one of the newts. Beautiful coloration on him. And there's an absolute ton of these. There's plenty of frogs, but they've scarpered into the bushes.
So we've got the hose lock UV system in pieces now. This is the old UV bulb that we've removed. You've got the quartz sleeve that we will give a clean before we reinstall, and we've got the new bulb. Now it is an Oaza bulb. We tend to go for Oaza because we know it's good quality. Now although it's a hose lock system, the actual connectors, for the bulbs are identical. It's just like going to buy a TV. That's Sony, that's LG. They both do the same job, exactly the same. It's just the type of brand. So we got there in the end. Bit difficult to put in. One tip when you're installing a new UV bulb is to ensure not to touch the glass. So what I did is I just used the package in the cardboard to click it into place. Now I'm just going to put this cover on that goes onto the top and basically ensures that the bulb is kept in the center of the quartz sleeve. Now I'll get the quartz sleeve, ensuring that we've still got the rubber O-rings at the bottom there, which we have to prevent water getting into it and touching the actual bulb. We slide that over the top and then tighten this down. Now you don't want this to be silly tight. There is actually a marking as to how tight you do it. So if you have a look there, that now notch is lined up with that notch. So you can't tighten it anymore, so there's no chance of you breaking the quartz sleeve. So now what I'll do is clean the quartz sleeve and reinstall it into the unit.
As you can see, there is the two ponds here. There's the larger pond, the main pond, which makes its way down this lovely stream and into the bottom pond. The water's very low at the minute, so it's not working. But also they're losing a lot of water between the rocks, so there is meant to be an overflow and a natural cascade where there's a nice flat rock at the end. And because the water's going through the rocks away from it, we're going to need to divert that. So we're going to use some Awaza filler, especially for waterfalls and water features, just to fill up those gaps. It's a nice black. Over time we'll rough up the surface and it'll grow a bit of moss and things. You won't even see it anyway. Right at the start it might look a bit, might catch your eye a little bit, but over time it'll settle in. So let's get the waterfall working. So the pond is almost full. We just need to turn the pumps on and check that the water's full. And the little river is running as well as it should. That flow's a lot more spread out now. It was coming out in one spot. Follow the river along. Let's wait and see how this bottom one looks. So here's the bottom pond in all its glory. As you can see, we've got the hose in there. We have treated this water. We've kept all the bacteria up in the filters. So with a bit of biostart, this will be looking right as rain in no time. So the river's almost getting full. And hopefully we've done a good job and this is going to spill nicely. So as you can see just behind there, the darker grey, that's the waterfall foam. We've had to fill the gaps that was running underneath. And hopefully over time, as this river fills up a bit more, that'll have a better flow, but it's looking much better already. We might have to tweak that tile a little bit, get it more central, but here we get more water's coming now. Much better. So that's that. Another job done. This time on the cottage pond. We'll clear up now, let the water settle, give it a week or two and it'll repopulate with all the frogs and newts. We'll put everything back in that we've taken out the pond anyway. But as you can see, the waterfalls are looking much better, the flow's a lot better, the water's clearer. And this is a pond that can be enjoyed by this couple for many years to come. See you on the next one, everyone.